So we're back for another Dave and Mike reviews. I'm Dave and he is
Mike.
And today, Mike, we're looking at Street Racer, but we're looking at it on two different consoles. This was your request from the other day.
Yeah, I thought we'd look at this game, and I have only ever played it on the SNES. I didn't know this existed on other platforms until you told me so. So Dave, which version is this?
This is the Super Nintendo version, Mike, and you can see straight away the Mode 7 in effect. It looks a bit like Mario Kart.
Yeah. I never owned... Did you own this game as a kid? I didn't own this game.
So I did, but I owned the PlayStation version of the game.
Okay. I borrowed this from a friend in school. He'd had this for Christmas on the SNES. I thought it was a really good Mario Kart rip-off, if you like.
It was, yeah. I actually really like this game as well. It's a lot of fun. Now, I hadn't actually played the Super Nintendo version until you said that you wanted to see the Super Nintendo version. So this is quite interesting for me. But I've got to say, it was a lot of fun to sit down and play. This was a really, really enjoyable game.
Really? So it's aged well?
It's aged very well. It's... I wouldn't say it's quite as good as Mario Kart, but it is still very, very good. It's a competitive racing game.
I think at the time... a lot of people that bought this game, my friend included, had exhausted Mario Kart on the SNES anyway, and they were just desperate for some new content on a similar sort of racer.
Yeah, what I like about this, look at the backgrounds and everything. It looks really, really good.
It's smooth. It's really smooth. I thought that at the time. I liked the choice of characters. I thought they'd nailed the characters. It wasn't... they weren't forgettable. You'd always remember all the characters you could choose from. Yeah. It was brave taking on Mario Kart back in the day.
It was, and each character has their own sort of special move, special attack that they can perform, which again is pretty cool. Mario Kart on the SNES, I don't think had that, did it? I think. Oh no, it might have done. I seem to remember. Yeah, I seem to remember. Was it Yoshi could lay a particular mushroom, and if you hit that, you spun out, or something along those lines?
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this. The characters are interesting characters. The music is pretty cool. And I was surprised by how good this looked, because in my personal opinion, it looks better than Mario Kart graphically.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It's who's the developer?
So this one's a Ubisoft game.
Okay.
This one was actually a Ubisoft title, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't know that until I played it the other day. So that's pretty neat, because what has happened to this series though? Why did they not carry on releasing Street Racer games?
I don't know, because like you say, well, Ubisoft are a giant now.
They are. They're massive with it. Is it Assassin's Creed that they do still these days?
So many games, man. I don't even know where to begin. But yeah, they bring out like an Assassin's Creed every week.
Yeah, they do.
Watch Dogs, not Watch Dogs. The Division.
Oh, the Division, that's it. But then the Division's pretty cool. Now we're going off topic a little bit, but
we are. Sorry.
But yeah, why no more Street Racer games? I'm not entirely sure, because could you imagine playing this on Xbox One or PS4 online? Wouldn't it be fantastic?
It would. It'd be loads of fun, because obviously we can't get the Mario Kart races on PS4.
No, you can't.
Or on the Xbox One.
And you can't play the older ones online unless you do some trickery with emulation. But then even then it doesn't work so well. So I agree with you, because this game is so much fun and it works really, really well. And there is a bit of a strategic element to this as well, guys, because you'll notice you've got turbos, and it's using your turbos strategically as well as the jump, a bit like using the weapons and the jumping on Mario Kart.
Yeah. How much later than Mario Kart did this appear? I can't remember.
I think it's only like a year or two. There's not a big gap as far as I can remember.
Sure. But it does give them, or it does give the reason why this looks slightly better than Mario Kart. Obviously, they've got to grips with the technology.
Yeah. Totally agree.
The Mode 7, it was such a cool thing. It works so well in this game.
And Nintendo did that with the Super Nintendo, did a cracking job by having this capability, because of course the Mega Drive, as standard, its competitor, couldn't do this. You couldn't have a game that was like this on the Sega Mega Drive. It wasn't capable of it without an add-on. So Nintendo, and again, it's great that Ubisoft have used it here, and F-Zero's another great example of a racer that used it. But wasn't F-Zero an early Super Nintendo title, I seem to remember?
It was a launch title, mate. You're right, yeah, it was a launch title.
And that ran really, really fast. It was actually faster than this game, I seem to remember.
It was. The only thing I would say about this game from the footage so far, because I don't remember playing this very well, is that the courses or the tracks are a bit short.
They are, yeah. So As you'll see on the Sega Saturn version, when we take a look at that, the tracks are actually a bit longer and there's more laps to do because, yeah, I found myself blitzing through these Super Nintendo Bronze Cup races. I really did. Whereas on the Saturn, I had a much more difficult time. It was much more of a challenge as well.
If we, or if I was to play Mario Kart now, the SNES version, obviously.
Yeah.
Would the tracks be short like this? Because I just don't remember.
Yeah, I think they were. I think the SNES Mario Kart tracks were pretty short as well. Yeah, I think it would have been a limitation of the machine, definitely, of the memory.
It's difficult to be critical of it then, because that is the only critique I've got, because apart from that...
Yeah.
Look at the names, man. Helmet.
Yeah, and you notice there's Frank as well, like Frank, short for Frankenstein, and you've got Sumo.
Right.
I think it's awesome what they did, and again, the characters have got different abilities as well.
It worked well. It really worked well. It could have been real naff cheeseball, one of those forgettable games. I mean, look at this. How similar to Mario Kart is this?
This looks very similar to one of the races, doesn't it? I can't remember the name of the track, so forgive me for that one, guys.
Same,
yes, very similar to one of the beach, might even be a Cooper Beach level on Mario Kart.
What was Street Racer's last or final appearance?
I think it was actually on the Saturn and PlayStation. I think that port of the game, the 32-bit remaster, I'm going to refer to it as, and you'll see why. I think that was the last time we saw Street Racer. I don't think there was a release on PlayStation 2, GameCube or Xbox, unfortunately.
Okay.
I don't think there was. So why they didn't do that, I'm not sure. I mean, you guys complained about remasters. This is an early example of a remaster that you'll see when the Sega Saturn footage comes in shortly.
Right, okay. I'm impressed by this.
It is still a lot of fun. I think you'd enjoy it. Again, I know you've been playing some older games recently, Mike, for emulation. Check this out if you can find it. Here is the Sega Saturn version. And we've got, which was typical for the time, to show off the capabilities of those machines, a video sequence introduction being played here of one of the characters getting absolutely slaughtered by all the racers going by.
This is crazy.
It's pretty cool, wasn't it? But again, it's just a bit of bit flash, bit fancy to show off that the PlayStation and Saturn could run videos. Yeah,
I like I said at the beginning of this video, guys, I didn't know this existed after the SNES. I thought it was a one-hit wonder kind of thing. I'm interested in seeing how this plays.
So another thing you're going to notice straight away is the music upgrade, because of course the music is all done from CD audio tracks. So the music is quite a substantial upgrade.
Okay.
So I'm just going through setting things up here, because you'll hear the menu music now. That's a CD track playing, which sounds really, really nice. Does, so I choose the Frankenstein character. I'm just going through quickly so you can see them all. They all look awesome, and you can see their stats on the right there.
Yeah, the character models look so much better, don't they?
They're really awesome. I think these are sprites, but then there might be sprites on the SNES. I'm not sure, but you can see there's more depth to them.
More detail. Frank just reminded me then. It just showed a snippet of his special move because he could fly, couldn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that was a cool thing on the character select screen. You could press a button, it would show you what their special attack would be. Look at the detail of this.
Wow.
This is the Sega Saturn version. This is the first stage. You can already see, just look at the environment and the amount of objects there are in the environment.
Yeah, look at this.
It might look like it's running a bit slower because of the fact you've got all these objects so close to the circuit, but I love it.
It also looks like you're driving around one of the Chris Kamara Street Soccer.
Oh yeah, one of the fantasy pictures. Yeah, it does actually. You're not wrong. Which one is it? Easter Island.
Easter Island, yeah.
Might be Easter Island. Oh yeah, I think with those poles at the side of the track, it could be Easter Island. Let us know in the comments.
This is awesome, man. Look at the difference. Obviously, the tech is better, but
yeah, it is. And you can collect those little rockets. They give you extra turbos, which again you can use them strategically. Another thing I like, and this goes back to a Mario Kart sort of power up that you could get. You could get dynamite. Now what would happen is you would then have a countdown above your head of that dynamite, but if you punch an opponent, it gives the dynamite to them, and then they can blow up when the time runs out.
Wow.
Which harps back to one of the Mario Kart, I think it's might even be Mario Kart Wii, where you've got the cloud hanging over your head, and if you punch or hit an opponent, it transfers to them.
Yeah, that's right. How did this review?
I think it reviewed pretty well. I think people liked it.
Across the board now, SNES, Saturn and PlayStation.
Yeah, it reviewed very well. The Saturn version is actually considered to be the best version because the Saturn was a sprite/2D powerhouse, and this game definitely shows it because it looks great. and it's running really smoothly. This is on my Japanese Sega Saturn, because I've got the Japanese version of the game.
Okay.
So it's absolutely awesome. It really is.
The music is so good.
The music is cool. Now I'm going to make you laugh. We'll go slightly back to the SNES version for a moment. Games Master, a popular television show all about gaming in the 90s. Ant and Dec, PJ and Duncan, played a challenge on Street Racer, and they were both absolutely dreadful at the Super Nintendo version of Street Racer. I just need to get that one out there.
Oh man, I remember that.
They were terrible at it. It was a case of, and in fact they seemed confused, because the Games Master clearly said you have to finish first. Neither of them finished first, and they wondered why they didn't get the joystick. The golden joystick, that is, for anyone who doesn't know. The prize you got for winning a challenge. But we're back onto the next race. So these races do seem to last a bit longer on the Saturn, as you say.
Yeah, the tracks are bigger, but like you touched on, the SNES, it was probably pushing it to its limits.
Yeah, to mostly probably to memory limits as much as anything else, because the Saturn had a fair amount more RAM that the developers could use for the game assets.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that's why the tracks seem shorter, the races seem to be over faster on the SNES, but also there's more laps per race, I think, on the Saturn version.
Oh, is there?
I think there is, yeah, because some of these races did feel like they went on for almost twice as long as the Super Nintendo races that I did.
Well, that just adds depth to the game then, obviously, doesn't it? Makes it harder to complete.
The longevity. And because I've chosen Frank for this, I'm actually having a hard time beating that other guy that's in front of me. I can't remember his name, who I used on the SNES version.
Yeah.
You saw me dominate in the SNES version with him, but I'm struggling against him on this.
Yeah, this is better. Obviously, it's a lot better than the SNES version. I wouldn't mind trying this out when I visit your game room there, because it looks cool.
Definitely, you'll really enjoy it. But it did also, because I played this one first, I actually played it in the wrong order. I played the Saturn version first and was impressed. Then I went back to the Super Nintendo version and thought, the Super Nintendo version actually holds up really, really well. Take the extra graphical effects away, put that to one side. The SNES version of the game, the gameplay is really, really solid.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, it goes down in one of my favourite SNES memories, Street Racer. It's a very, very good game. It's a very solid title.
It's a lot of fun, and as you said, to take on Mario Kart, because it had already been done with Super Mario Kart, we'd already seen some competitive racing with F-Zero as well. But to come out with this, and this is really, really well done in my opinion. Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree and what you thought of Street Racer, because I think it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's fun. Like you said, it reviewed well for a reason.
So here we go. Helmet won that race.
Surf and Biff. It's bringing back memories, though, man. It is bringing back memories. I'm glad I've seen footage of this version, though. Like I say, it's just mad that this was released on the Saturn and the PlayStation. Why didn't I know that? I loved the PlayStation 1. Why didn't I know that?
Because I had the PlayStation version back in about 97, and I really enjoyed it. I remember playing it with some mates at the time, and really, really enjoyed it. Now, what we can do for you, Mike, is we can get you a PlayStation emulator set up on your machine, and you can play this at some point if you want.
That would be cool, man, actually. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Or could you play this split screen?
Yes, you could. I think you could play up to 4 players with a multi-tap on this game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. This track's awesome.
It is, yeah. So this one, again, all the settings I think are really interesting settings for the tracks.
And this was Ubisoft again?
Ubisoft were the creators of this one, and as I say, this is a really, really good example of how you do competitive racing when you're not Super Mario Kart, because there were others as well. I remember a game called BC Racers that was released on the PC and on the 32X, which again tried to be a competitive racer in a similar way of this, but it wasn't as good, I didn't think. It wasn't as enjoyable as this.
There was also an absolutely trash kart racer on the PlayStation 1. It was woeful. I can't remember the name of it.
So there's a few that I know, but they were just straight up kart races. I don't think they had any competitive elements, unless you can remember which one it was.
You played as animals.
As animals? Okay.
Yeah. It might have been PS1 or it might have been PS2. I'm pretty sure it was PS1. It was really, really bad. Really bad and really rare.
Because another one as well, we need to touch on it. Moving on to N64, you had Diddy Kong Racing that was also pretty good. I liked Diddy Kong on the N64.
Very good game.
A very good game, and again, the same generation as what we're seeing here on the Saturn. So, again, it translated really, really well. So, let me just ask you then, what do you think of both the versions of Street Racer? Give me your thoughts. If you were reviewing it, I know you haven't played it for a while, or you haven't played the Saturn version at all. What would you review it as, just based on this footage?
The Saturn version, mate, out of 10, this is a solid 9.
Yeah.
Solid 9. On the SNES, I'd give it an 8.
You give it an 8. Having played both, and having obviously extensively looked at both, Saturn version, I agree with you, gets a 9 because the gameplay is really good. It's absolutely awesome. SNES version, I'm going to give a 9 as well. I can't score the SNES version down just because of the graphics, because it's a 16-bit machine and it does a cracking job. It looks really, really solid.
It did, yeah. You can't critique something too much because of the age of the machine or the power behind it. Both versions look absolutely brilliant. What would you give the PS1 version?
Yeah, it's similar to the Saturn version. It's very similar in terms of its look and in terms of how it runs, so it would get a solid 9 as well.
Cool. That's cool.
It's just as good. So anyway, we've been taking a look at Street Racer today. I'd like to thank Mike for joining me as always.
It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
And we, of course, will catch you guys again soon for another Dave and Mike Reviews. Please check out Mike's channel. We did a Chorizo cast recently all about game controllers, which I think you'll find very, very interesting. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Stay indoors.
Thanks, guys. Have a good Easter.